If you're thinking of buying a home sometime in the next 12 to 18 months, you might be worried that either you can't afford a home or you might be looking at interest rates and saying, oh my gosh, this is impossible, or home prices. It's possible that you could be avoiding the whole situation altogether. So today I have with me a special guest, Cortney Kaveh, who is, it's Kaveh, right? Am I pronouncing
Kaveh.
Kaveh.
Yeah, close enough.
So Cortney is a money coach. So she helps people all the time, different than a financial advisor. So she's not helping people make specific, hey, put your money here and do that, but actually like how to budget and how to use money well. So she's going to be sharing some tips today about how to help you make the best decisions with your money, how to save up for buying a home, and some other money tips. So we're going to be covering why it's actually important to buy a home, why it's not something that you should arbitrarily put off. We're going to be sharing what it actually takes to buy a home, and again, how to actually financially prepare for that. So with that, let's go ahead and get started. All right, if you're new to the channel, by the way, I introduced Cortney. I didn't introduce myself. I'm Daniel Roberts. I run a small real estate team here in Newberg called the Joyful Roberts Group. So if you are looking to buy or sell a home, I'd be happy to talk to you about that. All right, now getting into the part of why you shouldn't put off buying a home. Let's go ahead and start with that. So one of the things that a lot of people, if you're not following the real estate market and maybe you've been working for a while, you've been saving up money and you're renting, you may think, okay, well, why does it matter? I might, maybe I'll wait 5 or 10 years and I'll buy a home eventually. But it's really important to understand that houses in general appreciate between 3 and 5% per year. That's actually below average. The historical average is like between 6 and 8%, but we normally see about 3 to 5% unless it's a kind of crazy year. So a $500,000 house today will be a $550,000 house in just a few years. So that's a really important thing to keep in mind.
Yeah, there was definitely an opportunity cost with delaying your home purchase. Not only is it a wealth building tool for you, it's a quality of life tool I've found for people as well. So we're going to go through just how to get your financial house in order today to get ready to buy that house. And it might happen sooner than you think.
Yeah. And especially if you're renting, you've been seeing those rent payments go up. We want to get you out of renting it into actually owning your own home. And by the way, this is going to be fairly condensed. So Cortney has a lot of her own resources. So if you're interested after this, you can obviously reach out to her or myself. But this is just going to be a quick snapshot. I'm sure we could talk for a couple hours we could probably make a whole podcast series on all this stuff. So first, what does it actually take to buy a home? I'll share a couple of my points, then Cortney can share some of her thoughts. The main thing that you need to know is the main cost in buying a home is your down payment. So this is like your out-of-pocket costs up front. Down payment is usually 3 to 5%. So for a $500,000 home, you're looking at anywhere between like $15,000, $20,000. I think I did that right. Yeah, sometimes my brain shuts off. Yeah, $15,000 to $25,000. And then you have 2 to 3% for closing costs. So really, you're going to be looking $25,000 to $35,000. Then, as far as what your monthly payment is going to be, between your principal and interest, so like your loan cost, and then your property taxes, and then your insurance, which includes your mortgage insurance and your property insurance, that's usually going to be in the range of like $3,000 to $3,500 a month for a starter home, which it's going to be maybe that $430,000 to $480,000. Maybe if you're getting up to actually like $500,000 and above, you'll be looking at $3,600, $3,700. So if those numbers don't scare you away, and you're like, well, hey, we've got this money saved, or we're close to that, and we think we can get close to making that payment work, then you're actually pretty close to being able to buy a home.
Yeah, and
you can kind of share your story about that too.
Right. And I was going to say, if you are hearing those numbers and feeling scared, that's why we're here. We're here to walk you through how to take it one step at a time And for myself, I did not think I was going to be able to buy a home at the time I did. And it simply took actually talking to a lender, and no, you are not wasting their time. They want to help you. They want to build that relationship with you and get you confident in knowing when you can financially do that, or at least what they're looking for, so that you can begin to work on those things.
Absolutely.
So, and another thing about those big numbers that we threw around, there are things called seller credits that can help potentially with the closing costs. There's even mortgage buy down situations. I recently had a friend who was able to get into a home only because they were able to partake in this buy down program, so that it lowered their monthly payment for a time. So that's getting a little bit in the weeds, but there are things that you can do to make this easier for you to get into a buy house.
Absolutely. And I'll say on our side of things, we probably almost every single buyer that we've helped buy a home this year has had somewhere between $10,000 to $20,000 that they were able to get from the seller to reduce their closing costs, or most of them took a lot of that money and paid for a lower interest rate. So instead of having a 7% interest rate, maybe they had a 5.5% interest rate, and sometimes that's temporary. So you have it like kind of scale back up over a couple years with the idea of maybe refinancing down the road. But there's a lot of options. Absolutely. Reach out and I can connect you. I work with some of the best lenders in the state, and they're super good at helping you walk through all these steps. So that's that. And then there's a number that lenders use. It is called a debt to income ratio. They call it DTI. Now, this is basically saying, okay, if this is your income, you can have this percentage of your income can go towards your debt. Now, the number lenders use is about 45%, and they don't really like you going much above that. And really, that's pretty high, 45% of your income. So to put that in perspective, if you're looking at a $3,000 a month payment, I think I did this math right, a $3,000 a month payment, then you really need your salary, like on an annual basis, to be about $80,000. Now that's with no other debt. That's just for your house. So if you're there and you're debt free and you're making that kind of income, so that's about like $6,500 to $7,000 a month, then you're pretty close. Now you work with a lot of people who make quite a bit of money, but then there's the budgeting issue of like, how do we actually do that? And we're going to get to that in just a second. But the main thing is that your debt to income includes your entire debt picture. So if you have car payments, if you have student loans and other kinds of debt, all of that takes that into account, and you can't go above those debt limits. And if you're above that, you're probably not feeling comfortable with those numbers anyway. But Cortney's going to go ahead and talk about what it actually takes to get to a point where you're feeling more comfortable with making those payments.
Yeah, and if you are watching this and you are in that crowd of having more than 45% of your income going to debt, I know how much that hurts. You're feeling squeezed, you're feeling strapped, and a lender may tell you a certain number that you qualify for, or how much you need to get your debt down, or what types of debt to get rid of before buying the home. So right now I want to walk you through just step by step how to start working towards that. So of course you're going to speak to the lender about what's required of you, whether you're ready now or whether you do need to take care of some debts before that time. Mm-hmm. And I know this is not a sexy thing to say, but you need a budget. So budgeting just simply means that you are being intentional with your money. It is so easy to avoid our finances. I don't even want to look. I'm going to bury my head in sand. I'm going to sweep it under the rug. Like, we're all guilty of that to some degree, but really choosing to finally confront your finances, know your numbers, that's really the biggest step to this all. So by budgeting, I mean planning out, like making a plan for your income, and your expenses need to be equal or less than that income, right? That's called a zero-based budget. All money has a job. And so you're not only writing out this plan, but step 2, you're following this plan. And so you need some sort of vessel by which you are tracking your spending throughout the month. This could be something like a software. This could be just good old pencil and paper. It could be a spreadsheet. Mm-hmm. So you need some way by which to stay intentional. And that's what a budget is. How do you know you're on track if you're not keeping track throughout the month? And I'm not talking about accounting. So accounting is useful, but that's retroactive in nature, right? You're looking back at what has already happened and going, whoops, that happened, right? So we want to be able to keep our finger on the pulse of our finances all month long. And so that's really the biggest first step to it all.
And I'm going to go ahead and plug Cortney here because I know even in our own personal life, even though I'm pretty good at budgeting, my wife and I do a pretty good job of limiting our expenses. It's hard to take time to actually talk about these things and talk through every item and be on the same page. And that's where Cortney can come in and help. And we're going to try to keep this video short. Otherwise, we could, again, talk for another hour about the budgeting. But one of the other things that we talked about is pretending that you're already paying a mortgage. That's like a really good first, like, what do you call it? Like a litmus test?
Yeah.
Like to make sure, like, is this possible? So talk about what your strategy is for that.
Yeah. So if you are really wanting to buy a home, but that mortgage is going to be $3,000 easy, and you're paying, let's say you're paying $2,200 a month right now in rent. I want you to pretend next month that your rent payment is actually $3,000. Even though it's $2,200, I want you to, number one, make a budget, and number two, save up enough money to make a $3,000 mortgage payment, but you're going to pay $2,200 to rent. You're going to pay $800 to your savings account. If you can do that, I love what you said. It's like a litmus test. Are you actually ready to afford this new payment in your life? And guess what? If you do this and you do this on repeat, you're saving that down payment so fast. Like you are on track, you have a goal. And so you need to know how much you need for that down payment, and then how much you can save monthly towards that. And then you'll be able to figure out a timeline from there.
Absolutely. One of the other things is that I do personally with savings, because if you try to save after you've spent everything, it's really hard. So I save on a weekly basis. Automatic payments are going into my savings account. So it's like I don't even see the money. And that way my account looks a lot lower. So I'm not tempted to spend the money because it's just gone automatically.
He's paying himself first. You need to do that. Treat it like a bill.
Interesting concept.
Yes.
Last thing is credit that we're going to talk about in this, and then we'll close it out. Credit is an interesting relationship that you have. It's basically like the debt game. And this could be a whole other video. The main thing is get your credit in order. And this is where talking to a lender again is extremely important. What I tell people, always raise your credit limit. So instead of like having a $2,000 limit on your credit card and always hitting up against that, that's really bad for your credit. Instead, one, try to limit that, but also at the same time, raise that credit limit. I think every 6 months I would just like raise my credit limit. It's now like $38,000 or something. And you can do that. You can just request these limit increases, and as long as you're paying everything on time, they'll give it to you, and then your credit is looking a lot better.
Sometimes you have to have the account open for a certain amount of time before they'll allow you to do that. Mm-hmm. So some cards may be 6 months and maybe 12 months. And so once you hit that mark, go ahead. It's not going to hurt you. Request the credit increase, and then that will help your ratios.
Yeah. But as far as how to get your credit in a good spot, talking to a lender again. And again, reach out to me, reach out to Cortney. These are great ways. We love helping people through this process. Now, Cortney works with people on a limited time. So it's not something you're hiring her indefinitely for. You can reach out to her about what that looks like. All of my advice is free until you buy a home. So you can talk to me, and if you're like, I don't know if I want to talk to Cortney, reach out to Cortney. She's great. I can help you too. But these are just things that you need to be aware of if you're thinking of buying a home. The main point we want people to know is that if, it can feel overwhelming and feel stressful, but reach out to someone, reach out to us, reach out to a lender, and ask these questions, because you don't know until you ask. And it's worth doing. It's worth, taking those steps and not burying your head in the sand.
Exactly. And if you are someone who buries their head in the sand, I am so available to speak with you, no strings attached. I love helping people who just prioritize their goals and just say, okay, how should I go about this? So really there's no pressure. Very happy to talk to you, as is Daniel. So go ahead and reach out.
Yeah. And again, I feel like this would be like a whole podcast, but where can people find you?
You can go to northwestmoneycoaching.com. That's my company. And you can find me online at Cortney.Kaveh on Instagram.
And you know where to find me. We'll have the information in the description below. Hopefully this is helpful for you. Do reach out if you have questions. And if you're interested in other things about real estate or living in Newberg, what that's like, you can check out the other videos on our channel. Thanks for watching. We'll catch you in the next video.